There's a certain kind of house that most people will spend their entire lives without ever stepping inside. Not because it's hidden exactly, but because it's built for a version of life so far removed from ordinary that it barely feels real. These homes don't show up on street corners. They sit behind gates, down long private roads, tucked into hillsides or floating along coastlines where the average person will never wander close enough to look twice. And once you actually get inside one, you start to understand something. This isn't about having a nice house anymore. This is about building an entire private world and never having to leave it. Walk into one of these places, and the first thing that hits you usually isn't size. It's silence. The kind of quiet that only exists when a house has been engineered floor by floor to keep the outside world exactly that. Outside. Thick walls. Sealed glass. Climate systems working constantly in the background so the temperature never shifts, no matter what's happening beyond the property line. You stop noticing the weather entirely because the house has already decided you don't need to. Then you find the garage, except calling it a garage barely does it justice. In homes like this, the cars don't sit in rows waiting to be driven. They're displayed, lit individually, sometimes rotating slowly on turntables so every angle catches the light. Some of these spaces sit 2, even 3 stories underground, connected to the house by private elevators most guests never even know exist. Because at a certain point, a car collection stops being about transportation. It becomes a private museum, and the owner becomes its only curator. Speaking of museums, walk a little further, and you'll usually find one hiding in plain sight. Hallways that double as gallery space. Ceilings fitted with the same lighting rigs you'd expect in an actual exhibition hall. Original paintings hung where most people would put family photos, sometimes rotated out every few months like the walls themselves are part of a living collection. For some owners, the art isn't decoration. It's the entire reason the house was built the way it was, with every room designed around what would eventually hang on its walls. And then there's the part almost nobody expects until they see it. Somewhere in a home like this, usually behind a bookshelf or a mirror or a wall panel that looks completely ordinary, there's a room built for the absolute worst-case scenario. Reinforced walls, independent air and power systems, enough supplies to wait out almost anything the outside world could throw at it. But here's what makes it interesting. These rooms are rarely cold or clinical. They're designed to feel just like every other room in the house. Warm lighting, matching finishes, because true security done well doesn't look like a bunker at all. It just quietly exists, hoping it never has to be used. Head toward the center of the house, and there's almost always water somewhere. Not a backyard pool bolted onto the property as an afterthought, but something folded directly into the architecture. Indoor pools lit from above through skylights, so sunlight moves across the water throughout the day in ways that feel almost intentional, almost alive. Some homes push this even further, building living spaces that sit partially below ground level, with curved glass walls offering views into water. Most people will only ever see from a boat. The idea isn't just to have a pool. It's to make water part of daily life, not an occasional escape from it. Then there's rest, which sounds simple until you see how far some of these homes take it. Entire wings dedicated purely to recovery and stillness. Steam rooms, cold plunge chambers, meditation spaces with ceilings designed to mimic the night sky. So relaxing at 2 in the afternoon can feel like lying under stars that aren't even really there. At this level, rest isn't something that just happens. It's engineered, planned, built into the architecture as carefully as anything else in the house. And finally, once you make it back outside, the grounds usually stretch further than you expect. No fences in sight, no clear edge where the property ends and the wider landscape begins. Acres of untouched land, sometimes with private lakes, working farms, or vineyards folded into the landscape, blurring the line between backyard and countryside until it barely feels like a backyard at all anymore. It starts to feel like owning a small stretch of wilderness and simply choosing to build a home somewhere inside it. What strikes me most about homes like this isn't really any single feature. It's the mindset behind all of them combined. Every single one of these spaces exists because someone, at some point, looked at an ordinary version of that room and asked why it had to stay ordinary, why a garage had to just be a garage, why a pool had to just be a pool, why security had to look and feel like security at all. These homes exist because somebody kept pushing past the point where most people stop. And here's the part worth sitting with for a second. Nobody wakes up one day and simply owns a home like this. Every person living behind gates like these started somewhere far more ordinary than where they ended up. Small apartments, regular jobs, years nobody was watching, long before any of this existed. The house isn't really the story. The years before it are. So if all of this feels impossibly far from your own life right now, that's completely normal. It's supposed to feel far away. But far away isn't the same thing as impossible. If you keep working, keep building, keep betting on your own future the same way every person behind gates like these once did, there's no reason a life like this has to stay a fantasy forever. If this gave you even a small taste of what's out there, stick around, because next time we're going somewhere even harder to believe.